get this thing started. We're recording. We're ready. With me today is a very good friend of mine, Mr. Alan Rosenquist, as always. Thomas Donaldson on my side. Andrew Garcia. I met you at one of my first legit jobs out of school.
Yep.
And you're probably genuinely the first person that I latched onto that I was like, I like working with this guy. When I'm working with him, it's not work. It's just fun. We're just doing what we're doing. And I've made it a point to be like, I got to keep in touch with this guy. This guy is my boy. We got to be friends. And I learned a lot from you over the years. You do your own thing, and you do it your way, and it always comes out nice and polished, and you make it seem effortless in my eyes.
I had the same reaction when I first met Alan. Yeah.
I just make it look like I'm doing the work when I really use you guys. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
I got you under a spell, man.
No, you definitely had this air of confidence, just like, I've been doing this for a while. I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Ingredient, a cook is only as good as all of the ingredients.
For sure.
Gets. So I mean,
yeah,
you give us good ingredients, and we're always pleased and happy about that.
Yeah,
and that's sometimes everyone hates shitty footage.
Oh yeah, we worked with a lot of shitty footage in our day.
Yeah.
That's part of the job, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
like learning how to make something out of nothing.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's definitely like you could pinpoint good editing anywhere, but I feel like really good editor uses shitty footage and makes it look like it was great footage the whole time.
Yeah,
definitely, I don't know.
Definitely. Just to give people a little bit of context, though, can you let us know like how you started, like where you went to school, where you got your first job, or where you got your first gigs, to where you started rolling into like, no, I'm a professional in this industry. I'm doing my actual work.
Yeah. Well, I picked up a camera when I was like 12, maybe even younger than that. Just making skate videos and shit like that. Filming my brother at first, and then a group of friends, and it just snowballed into creating our like middle school skateboard company that wasn't really a company, and just going from there. And then
that was the era of Jackass and all that.
Yeah, I had friends doing they were doing like ripping off Jackass like stunts and things like that of that nature. But I was more like, I had a vision of just like polished skateboarding and making like skateboarding videos, because everybody was doing Jackass at the time. So, exactly. And we thought we were good, and then we watched videos and realized we weren't that good. But but yeah, I mean, like that, it went from there throughout high school, and then you meet people, creating these skate videos, whether it's skaters or other videographers, editors, et cetera, and then just snowballed into like meeting. Well, I had a good friend throughout elementary school, and I knew he would create animations doing like using Flash and things of that nature. And so he was I knew he had all the software, and I didn't know anything about editing at the time. I just had a dad cam, filmed, friends and stuff like that. And then I got in touch, or we were in touch already, but I brought it up to him like, hey man, you want to like help edit these videos I'm trying to work on? And I don't want to say illegally downloaded, but he illegally downloaded Premiere or Final Cut. I think it was Premiere at the time, because we were on Windows. So yeah, he
CS6.
We would go. Yeah, it was even before then. It was like CS4 or something. It was crazy old.
Well, yeah, you're talking way before.
Because we had to do the log and capture. Like, it wasn't even mini DVs. I think it was High 8 at first. Like those, slightly after VHS, but So yeah, we were doing that for a while, and then eventually I wasn't I'm gonna sound like an asshole, but I always do. Our creative visions were like on par, so I eventually had him download Premiere for me, and then I started editing on my own and picked it up from there, and then just went to school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, I guess it was like a no-brainer, but for me it wasn't a no-brainer. And my dad's just like, all right, well, you got to apply. You're going into community college, or you're going to UIC is a good school. So, and I didn't know, like, I didn't look into any of this. So he made me apply to UIC, and that's the only school I applied to, and I got in. I didn't know shit about their art program or any of that stuff. So I kind of went in blind.
You're just making your parents happy, man.
Yeah. So I went in blind, and then it was all right. It was, it was whatever. I guess, like, It was more artsy, I guess, than for my specific taste, I guess.
Artsy in what way?
Like girls with a paintball gun shooting a wall, crying, like yelling at their mom.
Some very
That
deep,
was one of the
very
videos.
deep
It was just
meta
like-
art.
Yeah, deep meta, or like just like, oh man, I don't even know if I can. This one's gonna make some people throw up. But our thesis class, I don't even know if this is possible. She had to be lying, but she made bread with her vagina yeast. Was one of the. That's conceptual art, man.
Oh man.
Vagina yeast bread. So yeah,
You know,
that's,
like I'm a very big advocate for art is in the eye of the beholder, but
yeah. So it was an interesting
some people like
experience.
to push the lines.
Yeah, I had no desire to be like an artist, and and I think a lot of the professors at UIC were in that background, so they want like if you were doing more conventional videos or photography, stuff like that, they kind of like looked at you like you were just like average or like
Dullard.
yeah, like dull or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to like
That's yeah.
I don't want to say like
that view.
yeah exactly, like not everybody's gonna be.
They wanted the high society art people.
Yeah, they wanted people to like critique, the 1% type of thing, and like all. And it was just fine, it's cool, but like it wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah,
I
it's
knew
not
that's
you.
not what I was gonna do for a living, and I knew I didn't know what I was. I just wanted to get. By the time like I was a junior, I just wanted to like graduate and move on. And like I think I learned more through internships than I did in college. It's just kind of weird to say.
No,
but,
it's not.
No, I mean,
But yeah,
I learned
Yeah.
a million times more like real world application. In school, the one thing I take away that I was like, no, that was beneficial for me was I learned how to learn on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the one thing I took away from like these teachers would throw like a concept at me. They're like, figure it out. It's due at the end of the day. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. Trial by fire. Like, and then on the spot on the job, you kind of have to do that because even if you don't know how to do it, like expect you how to do it 9 times out of 10. It's like you should know this. If not, I'll show you. But it still needs to be done quickly and fast.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
for me, like that's the one thing that I took away from school was like I know how to do this on the spot. But the majority of my learning just came from real world experience
Yep.
and like on the job.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember, like I said, like the first class, we had to do everything. So when we were freshmen, we had to do like sculpting, painting, graphic
All the
design.
fine arts, yeah.
I knew right from day one, and it's funny because I said earlier, like I didn't know what I wanted to do college-wise, like what I wanted to do for
Yeah.
a degree. But once I got in, I knew I just wanted to do video, and maybe a little bit of photography because they go hand in hand. But
Yeah.
it was mandatory that you had to try everything. And I fucking hated it because I knew I sucked at drawing. I knew I sucked at graphic design. I knew I sucked. I had an eye for it, but I couldn't do it myself, I guess. And
You can recognize poor design and good design.
but
yeah.
I can't draw for the life of me. I can't sculpt. I remember we had nude models one class, and like being the 18-year-old, 19-year-old immature kid, and my buddy was there with me, and I remember just couldn't stop
God.
laughing,
I honestly
giving him the
wish I
side
would have
eye,
been in that class.
just giggling like, oh
Yep.
my god, this is so awkward. At least we don't have to. At least she's a woman, At least we're not getting an eye full of dick today or whatever. Just like whatever. And then so he's going around. The teacher's going around, and we're circling. We're in like a circle in our seats with our easels or whatever you want to call it, drawing this model. And I like not only am I laughing, I can't draw. So it's like a lethal combination of just me having like the giggles. I can't and just being a poor. I just can't draw. So so he's going around and seeing
teachers
people.
loved you.
Oh, dude, they look like grizzly bears. And he was looking at me like I wasn't trying, and I was legitimately trying.
Well, it's like I can understand that if you're laughing the whole time
Well,
and you're
yeah,
drawing
yeah.
shit, I'm like, this fucking
why does
just
this
wasting my time.
why does this woman have a bear claw? Like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
That's clearly a pinky, sir.
well, you told us to focus on one area of the body, and I did the hands. And turns out I can't draw hands. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Sorry, they look like bear claws. Like, and then she told me to focus on some other area. So then she had a bare head when I was drawing her face. Like, it was just like with hair, like it was just brutal. Like I could not. But
we
like
all
that was one
laugh,
thing.
But I really hate the idea of creatives hating on other creatives for how they draw or like what level they're at, or if it's not their style.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like.
And then there's
if you're
some-
an artist, you should support any artist and say like whatever you're doing, whatever road and whatever like progress you are along that path, just keep doing your art. Just don't care, just keep doing the art.
Do it for you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had those kind of experiences.
I mean, and some people are like naturally talented, so not everybody can do it all, and that's kind of why I was drawn to video, because I had a vision.
I would push back on you and say, it's not so much that you can't do it; it's that you don't have the drive to want to do it. Because when I first started drawing, I was terrible, and I traced things for years. I love tracing paper.
Tracing
and I would
papers,
trace everything for years because I was like, I can't draw. I suck at it, but I want to be able to draw my comic book characters, but I can't. And then eventually it's just that was just a drive and a want that I had. So I'd always do it. And then literally just through practice and repetition, I was like, oh, I can freehand make these shapes and lines now. And then I got naturally good. So it's I genuinely feel like anybody can learn any art form. It's just you gotta want to learn it.
But there's still some people have more of a natural ability than others, right off the bat.
Yeah.
So there's
some
some
everything.
Well, fuck those people. They're phenoms.
Yeah. Well, what I guess I'm saying is I was lazy, so I went to did video because I had a vision. I had a
You
vision.
weren't lazy, dude. You had a
video
direction.
was the fastest way to get there. So
you knew
I
what you
picked up a
wanted.
video camera.
You were annoyed with the fuss, because I can relate to that. When I was in school, I hated all gen eds. They were just a waste of time to me. I was I knew what I needed to do the bare minimum to pass, and that's all I did.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was I'm not going to waste time on this when I know this is what I want out of life. This is what's going to service me in life. I'm it's a waste of my time to me. I'm not going to do it, or I'm not going to put the full effort into it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same thing.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I just knew what I wanted, and I didn't want to take any detours, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I wanted to do video, and then when I finally got to do video, it's here's how you do an establishing shot. And I was banging my head against the wall. Here, for homework, you got to do 3 establishing shots, and you go around all right, well, I can do this, and just take the camera and shoot a fountain for 5 seconds.
Yeah,
or
that was my biggest headache.
Just,
first year of school was just how slow it was.
Oh yeah,
where it's just dude,
it's almost like 101. Not it is 101, but it's more like.
But you have to recognize that not everyone has as much drive or want for it, so you're more knowledgeable of it just because that's your interest. That's your creative want. Other people, it's just well, I'm interested in it, but I haven't taken any steps towards it. So this is my first step.
Yeah.
So they have to make it like that. So I understood and I got that, but I can relate to where it's just oh, this is terrible. Banging your head against the wall. It's really? What, you need an establishing shot and a medium shot and a close up by tomorrow?
Yep.
That's gonna take me so long. Oh, dude, that. Yeah, it used to drive me insane.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody has never picked up a camera in their life and never touched editing software, it can be overwhelming, I guess. But I think there's baby steps and there's just not even taking steps that. That's that was just
I was bro, you don't got it. Just stop. Just stop.
You can just go over that as a concept and you don't have to actually exercise it through my eyes, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
But then I guess when I was at school, nothing was really, there was HD, but a lot of it was mini DV. So there was a little bit of time that it took. You do have to set up the camera, you got to shoot, which is easy. And instead of just slapping an SD card in you have to go and log and capture.
Yeah, a lot of stuff has been streamlined for us current day.
You don't have a way to mark it as easy. We had to figure out ways to when we were skating, we would mark each make with your hand around the lens. And when you just fast forward your mini DV and you'd see a hand for a split second, you're oh, that's the make. You're rewind, let's get it.
That's pretty cool.
Because it takes a lot of time to go through real time footage. 60-minute tapes.
I just recently remembered how long that takes because where I work at, we had one of our clients was asking for an older video from years back before I worked at the company, and I was I don't see it anywhere on the hard drives. I looked in the client folders, I don't see anything. And they're oh, did you check the tapes? And I was oh shit! I was
where's
that's
the nearest
right.
window? Jump out of it.
I was that's right. Back in the day, wasn't always SD and digital. I was hard copy tapes, and sure enough, bins on bins on bins of tapes. And I was oh, this is gonna be fun. And then the big block machine to put it in and watch the little the log and capture machine.
Brutal.
That was the one time where I was school benefited me. I was we did have to learn this in school, the log and capture machine. And I remember our professors telling us, they're you're probably never gonna need to use this. They're but it's good to know. And boom, right there, fucking paid off.
Yep.
Oh jeez.
It's not fun, man.
No.
Don't miss it.
But bouncing from school to what you were saying earlier about interning, what would you say is like out of how many places have you interned at before you started working full time or regularly?
2. The first one, I'm not gonna mention him because I don't have many positive things to say about it. But I mean,
what'd you take away from that experience, even if it was negative?
errand boy. And then I guess when you did show
hold
initiative.
on, that's a good point though. The difference in type of internships.
Yeah,
there are internships for like exposure to where it's like, oh, I can put it on my resume that I was here, but there's no real substance to that experience.
And that's what you do to get your foot in the door. Like, you just need to put something on the resume to, like, at least, oh, I know what that place is. Like, you whether it's an intern or not, they see that initially.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a good
And it's all about who
segue.
you know, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you make connections and hopefully they'll refer you or like, hey, you know someone else.
Yeah, but when you're driving all the way to Michigan from Chicago to pick up a pop-out birthday cake, I don't know how you can talk about how
how am I
that is
benefiting? What am I
experienced.
learning
So
here?
what have you? What was the main thing that you did? Well, the longest thing I did, the most crucial, critical thing I did for the company was for a big Budweiser event, and I had to go get a pop-up birthday cake that was 3 hours away.
Well, that brings up something interesting because it's like, where's the line of like, no, I'll do that because it's getting my foot in the door, it's getting my name on a paper, or it's just like, this is a complete and utter waste of my time.
You know
Why
what?
am I doing this?
Like, looking
where's
back,
the line?
Like, right now I'm talking about it like it's like a shit job, but I think I was like right out of, I had to be 22, 23 when I did that.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly, because when I was there, I was either looking up work on Mandy, ProductionHub, etc. for the company. And then, so I would do anything to get out of the office. So I kind of look back at that as like actually being somewhat fun, like getting like a rental van, being on the road, not in the office on my own. Like,
I feel like that's a lot of like,
and getting paid.
yeah. Well, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Big
Not,
six
not,
times.
all, not all internships are paid, man.
Oh, yeah, which brings me to another. I did do, so actually that wasn't the biggest thing, but we did like shoots for Glee and what was another one? The Voice
pleasure.
2, and that was brutal.
Why was that brutal? For the voice?
Oh, yeah, we had to go to, what was it called? Was it McCormick Place? So it was like thousands of people wanting to be
Is it
stars.
for like the auditions or whatever?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So,
Okay.
and before I get to that, so the camera crew I was with, they're like, oh, do you want to do this? It's like The Voice 2, and they're trying to sell it. I'm like, they're thinking it's going to be some wide-eyed intern. Like, oh, yeah, I'll do it for free. And then, like, I was with the camera crew, and they're like, you're going to pay him $100, right? And I'm like, I get $100? And then the producer was just, like, was giving the camera crew, like, this, like, mean look, you know, like, watch your tongue. I was trying to, you know.
Yeah, trying to get them
So,
for free.
like, that's when I knew that place was really shady. But I still stuck it out, you know, through like, the 3-4 month trial or whatever it was. Not trial, but
The internship.
Yeah.
the full thing. And so yeah, I did that, and that was, the voice was so bad. Glee wasn't that bad, but
What
The
was
Voice-
bad about the voice, though?
so I was PA, and I had, so they give you a walkie-talkie and intercom, and then you're supposed to just kind of wrangle them in like cattle. Like, just get them to wherever the audition. You can keep them enthused, keep them all jolly and happy,
dude.
and oh yeah. And,
Oh,
like,
you
that
were
is
one of
not-
those
That is
guys.
not me. You know me. Like, that's
Oh,
not in
Jesus.
that is not my description.
That's hilarious.
That I don't come with that.
Recently, I was walking
Jolly.
through.
Yeah, I don't. When you buy me in the package, that is not a description.
See, I saw someone doing that exact job, but it was kind of different. But it was for Chicago PD. They were filming at Thompson Center, like right across from where I work. And like I'm walking to go to lunch, and this PA, she just like stops the whole crowd. Everybody, guys, I'm sorry. If you guys could just please wait right here. We just need like 30 seconds of no one walking through the shot. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna let you walk through. Just please, just give me like 30 seconds. It wasn't 30 seconds. It was like 5 to 6 minutes. But she was so good,
Selling it, yeah.
so like
That's part
selling
of
it. Like she was humble.
That's
she
not
was,
me.
yeah, no, that's definitely not you.
Dude,
But I remember like seeing her and being like, "You're really fucking good at
Yeah,
this." It's
it's
like, because she literally,
talent, it's a skill.
She stopped a crowd of like 12 people, all on their phones and like doing their own thing, just talking to each other. And then, guys, sorry, and like she was handling
everyone
it.
just like drops their food.
True, like, and granted, there's like one or two like people that are like. I do not give a shit. I'm going to lunch. You know, but she was on it. Like, I can imagine though being like, oh man, it was if bad. You're not that person, that job is miserable.
They were like, sing, like we got to sing and get them like, because it's a singing competition.
Yeah, and then anytime you're on camera, they're super excited.
McCormick Place is huge, and it was like
hours of waiting
longer. It was like 6. People were in line for like half a day. I feel like so there's a lot of people there, and so in order to keep them enthused and ready, their vocals fresh, you had to sing.
Did you juggle for them?
Dude, they kept coming. The PAs kept coming up to me, like the lead PA or whatever her title was, and she's like, "Are you okay? Is there something wrong?" And I'm just looking at her like, "I'm gonna kill. Like, just leave me alone. Like, people are singing. I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to get the fuck out of this shithole. Like, but I got to get paid. And it was only for $100, you know, like whatever. But." So I was just
pay your dues early, man.
And they were just like, all right, guys, we're going to get room C, like 15C to sing so they can like keep them energized and blah, blah, blah. We're going to sing this song. And like I see the PA start singing and gradually the people in line start singing and I'm just sitting there and they were looking at me like, Alan, come on, sing. And so they hated me. I don't know if they hated me.
Does this footage exist somewhere?
There's no footage. We were just
God damn it! They hated me so much. God, I would pay so much money to see this.
This is how well it worked out for me. Is that they were so fed up with me because I wasn't like the jolly little person that they were. Yeah. That they were like, all right, we got to get him out of here. He's bringing down this crowd. He is not. This is not working out. Like, it's like we gotta let him go and just give him this check, or we gotta find another job for him. So they put me in the audition room, which was awesome. So I got to see like that auditions cool. in front of like the producer. Like the actual judges weren't there, but there was probably like 20 some rooms with 3 producers per room, and they were just picking out like the people who they liked, and it was It was an interesting process. They're like. People were pretty skilled, and people were like, and they were just like, all right, well, we'll call your name, we'll call you back if you go on to the next step or whatever. Yeah. And so it was interesting to see that like there was people who were pretty skilled, and like one of the producers looked at him.
You never knew like if they made it on the spot or no.
I knew people who carried on. They said, yeah, we want to keep you for the next step.
But otherwise,
then there's some people that were like iffy. They were iffy about, and I never found out. And I heard the producers' conversation about it. It was really interesting. And they're just like. Great voice. They're so talented, but so ugly. You don't have that face for TV. And I'm just like, oh my God, that is savage.
The show is called The Voice.
Nothing about your
face,
the
whole
man.
point is like they're blind when they turn around.
That's when I realized how I got a little bit of
that's Hollywood, man.
I already kind of knew, like I don't want to say it validated my thoughts for like shows like that. So I don't watch that show. And
the facade was lifted. You were like, "Yep,
pretty much." Like
this is what this is.
Yep. They validated it right.
So that kind of helps steer you to what you're doing now, or just in general, where it's like, I know that's not the route I want.
Yeah, I'm not big into TV. I mean, I guess I am doing commercials for TV right now, but not into like the whole Hollywood experience
program,
stuff like that, where people just. Glamorize celebrities so I don't know, and then like carrying on from there, so I got out of that internship pretty quickly, like and then and
that was your first internship.
That was my first one. It was like dead end, and then I heard bad things about that place anyway, so it was
you're like, I got out at the right time.
And so the second one was I wanted to do camera work, so I found one on one of those sites. I forgot what site it was, and so I go in for an interview, and they called me the day I submitted, so it was kind of strange. I'm like, are these people desperate? Is this the place I want to work for? But
some people are just really quick to respond.
Yeah, and it was like, and that one I kind of grew throughout. Like I stayed there for like 4 years and worked my way up the ladder from intern to editor, producer. But I remember getting there, and I wanted to be out of college. I wanted to be a camera op or DP. Or something like I wanted to.
You wanted to work with a camera, yeah.
So I get there, and you do this. They didn't say it was an internship too, by the way. So that kind of threw me off. Right at the end of the interview, they're like, "Oh, this is a non-paid internship." So I was like, "Fuck!" False advertising, you bastards.
That's not what it said on the end.
That's how they bring you in, man.
Fucking Craigslist.
I should have knew when you called me the hour after I submitted this shit. But yeah, I remember. So during the interview process, they're like, I told them I wanted to be like a camera op, and they're like, well, this is a post house, so if you want to like stay with us and grow with us, you're gonna have to be an editor or a graphics artist or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, well, I know editing. You know, it's not my favorite thing to do, but I know it well enough where I'm not intimidated by it. Yeah. So I stuck it out for, 4 years. But before anything started to become of it, they sent me to an offsite studio, which they were affiliated with, and eventually got bought out by. And there's a full-on fucking production team there, and I was pissed because I'm like, you guys are dirty bastards. You did me wrong. I was like, I wanted to do there's a whole live crew here. There's camera ops. There's like a switchboard. Like I would rather do that than
because that's where I met you.
Yeah, eventually.
And I was always
road,
and I realized that about you pretty quick early on, that like you love being behind the camera, like seeing your skate videos and stuff like that.
When you met me, I was still an editor.
Exactly.
Still am an editor.
You're editing, but I noticed right away. I was like, nah, he loves being behind the lens. He loves being on camera, like telling a story that way. And I was always curious. I was like, why aren't you on the production side of it?
Oh, it's pretty funny, man. A lot of the editors tried to get me to shoot stuff too. When I was there, I was like, and then I got mad about that because I was just mad all the time.
Because you were getting overworked.
No, I'm not getting paid enough for this shit. So it's like a catch-22. You finally get what you want.
Yeah.
So it was just, it is what it is. I mean, you learn and you move on, and then you grow from there. So I'm trying to look at everything more positively these days, but I don't know. Hopefully, I'm not coming off too negative. But
no, not at all. But going back to some of your other videos that you've done, I mean, you love what you shoot, which is skateboarding, and throughout your other films, that's what you sort of focus on. So how does that help you give it like a unique view through your lens?
Well, I think there's like a lot of like Spike Jonze, like he got into skateboarding before, and then music videos and stuff like that. So I think, and I'm totally biased obviously, but like I think skateboarders definitely have a unique perspective on the world. Whether it's like you see a bench and you want to you think of unique things to do to it rather than just sit on it, or pigeon pooping on it or something, or like even that, like it's like, oh, that'd be sick to get like a 60 frames per second pigeon shitting on it, and then a skater grinding the poop.
Your brain starts firing rapid fire compared to the everyday person.
You get weird, and then I don't know, and I've always been kind of goofy too, so I like to incorporate comedy with some of the stuff. But there's I think like Spike Jonze is like a big influence. Jason Lee, he's an actor, but like he's a skater and he had his own skate company, and he also has like directing experience. So and I always look at those guys as like having a unique perspective. And like that FatBoy Slim music video that Spike Jonze did, that was like groundbreaking at the time, in my opinion. Like nobody was doing stuff like that.
That was a great one.
And so I don't know. Like I said, I could be biased, but and I don't. Yes, I would rather be behind the lens, but I think it's nice to know, like, be more well-rounded and know everything, so you could kind of paint a picture and articulate what you want to do to because it's a lot of work doing everything. And yes, like there's some times where I have done, like if I'm doing like a pet project or like a passion project, you're most likely gonna have a low budget and have to do all those things on your own. But if you want to do something professionally and you sell something to somebody and there's a team, it's nice to articulate to an editor, to DP, to screenwriters, whatever, how to navigate through that creativity, rather than kind of be like, I don't know, just shoot it and we'll figure it out later in post. And,
we would help for that. For sure.
And that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing I really want to touch on is just process in general, because everyone's process is different. We've all worked for people that have been like, hey, film this real quick and make something out of it, rather than like, oh, here's a script, now make a storyboard. All right, now like make an animatic from that storyboard. Okay, now let's go film. And then like everyone's different, and then like they all each have their time and place. Like what's your preferred process? Like what works best for you, and what works best for you for clients?
I think it depends on the scale of the project. If it's something where it's easy to like articulate to like a small crew, I don't think you necessarily need to go through like animatics and storyboards and things like that. But if it's something a little more complicated, like it all comes down to the complexity of the project, in my opinion. Like, if it's like a quick 15 digital spot or like a 15, like something like a quick short that's, mainly going to be like all video and less graphics, then I think you can storyboard it out if you're working with people that you don't really, I don't want to say don't trust, but like, you know what I mean? Like if you're unfamiliar with them.
You don't have a familiar vernacular.
Yeah. And you should be, I guess, an intelligent person should be able to pick that up right away. Like if you're talking, just like if I'm talking to you and I can just see your eyes are glazed over and you're disinterested or you're just in over your head, like you should be able to pick that up and say like, all right, I gotta like hold this dude's hand and we gotta storyboard this and then maybe do an animatic and this and this and this. And if they screw this up, then you can point to all these things and like tell whoever the executive producer, whoever, and just be like, yeah. I don't want to throw people under the bus. Like that's a shitty thing to do, but like, I guess I'm kind of digressing, but it all comes down to the complexity of the project. I'll just leave it at that, and then you go from there. But I feel like if you
but what works best for you for the stuff that you make?
For what I make, I just like working with people I'm comfortable working with, and then I don't really like doing a lot of the storyboarding unless we really have to.
You're an amazing artist, though.
Yeah, but I don't. I don't know, man. I also like the element of surprise a little bit, and if I trust the DP and I trust the crew, I think it's more fun to come out with something, because I always feel like expectations somewhat lead to disappointments. So I also like the element of surprise a little bit in terms of, like these guys are super talented. I'm gonna kind of like let them do their thing, and hopefully something even better comes out of it than like what's in my head.
Almost like like talented musicians, like really good musicians are able to do a jam phenomenally well. And so like when you get a group of people that really know their stuff, you're saying that like, they can create some great things on the fly just by the feeling of like,
Yeah. And I was talking to a junior editor, like when we were talking about going on vacations and stuff like that. And she is the opposite of, and this is like an analogy. So she's the opposite. She likes to plan everything. And I'm like, that just sounds like, I don't want to say a lot of work, but just like high expectations. It seems stressful. It seems like you're trying to make all these things happen, and then it's just going to lead to like a letdown. Like I like to be spontaneous, like, and maybe that's, but we're different people, So to her, maybe she's going to make all those things, and it's going. She's like, I gotta do this, and this. So we gotta go Notre Dame Cathedral and do this and this and this, which is cool. Like I went to New York City and I had a vague idea of like what I wanted to do, but I didn't have like a whole checklist. And I'm like, she was worried about like sitting around on your hand, like just like we're not doing anything, but like we would like me and my girlfriend, we would go out and like we would do stuff, but it would be less planned, and those were the most like the spontaneous days, and they're just like those are the days I look back more. I look back on those days more fondly because they're unexpected. Great things happen, in my experiences with going that route or doing that route, whatever. And I don't know. And I think your personality also rubs off on your work and workflow, and like it's who you are. So.
Yeah, definitely.
And as long as you're looking at it positively, and as long as you have like at least somewhat of a work ethic, you're gonna get to the finish line, and it should be successful if you care about it. And that's what it comes down to: is you have a work ethic and you're passionate about what you're doing. Yeah, I don't think it really matters. There's no right or wrong way about going doing it.
I love that you brought up work ethic, because like I feel like that's such a thing that either people take too literally or don't understand. Like, or at least to me, like I see work ethic as like everyone's work ethic is different, but what makes people who are like you're saying is just like everyone does it on their own, but it's just doing it. It's just implementing it. It's just like I can work super hard or I can work medium hard, but it's like you have to do it though. Like if it's just in your head.
You can't procrastinate.
Exactly. Like,
and don't get me wrong, I'll procrastinate too.
All
but
artists are guilty of it, man.
But it depends on too, like
there's always excuses.
But it also comes down to passion too. Like if you're not 100% dedicated to it, that leads also to procrastination for me. So, and if you see like flaws in it, and you're still not, like, and you're not like into it, then you're totally gonna procrastinate. But if you see like if you're passionate and you see flaws in it, then you just want to fix those. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You're like, nah, I know what not to do next time.
Yeah, you get
Let me
the
go do it
Bondo
again.
out and you're just filling all the cracks. You know, like you wanna.
Because that's what always fueled me to learn more. Where it's just like I'd have it so perfect in my head. I was like, all right, let's make this, and it's just like, oh, that's not what I wanted. What the fuck? Mm-hmm. All right, let me go back and make it what I wanted. I won't rest because like I have to make it what I wanted it to be, and that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
When you said that you love the spontaneity of like creating something, would you say that maybe like stems back to almost like skateboarding, where everything's spontaneous and not everything is planned?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I actually am the opposite through skating. Because I think what happens is if I had more talent, and it comes back to drawing, drawing bears and shit for models. But if I had more talent, I would like spontaneity. Like, let's go to the spot. It's supposed to be super fun, and then whatever happens, happens. But I wasn't. I don't want to paint like I wasn't terrible, but I had a limited bag of tricks, and I planned a lot more to make. I used the spot as a canvas more than my trick, and try to do it as like stylishly as I could and get the angles. So I actually did plan a lot, which is funny because it's polar opposite of like how I normally work. But my skating is completely different.
You planned a skate routine rather than freestyle skating.
Yeah, and I see but like, I guess I would be more of like.
That's interesting though that you tackled skateboarding that way and then filmmaking.
Well, it comes down to like the tools you're given too. Like, I don't know, like when I would film my friends, it'd be fun to go to a spot and like shoot. I would like directing them or whatever. But you don't really direct in skating, but like my buddy Doug is super talented. So we go to the spot and sometimes he would have a trick or he just wanted to skate it. So we go and film and it'd be spontaneous. And I liked doing that part with the more like talented skaters than I was, and then you can shoot ideas out to them that they wouldn't think of, and they're like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. And it's just so there is some spontaneity to it, like, but I would be behind the lens with that. Okay. So maybe that has something to do with it. But when it came down to me getting tricks, it was so planned.
Are you referring to your film Scum City?
No, I mean like back in the day it was well that one too. Those are the newer ones. Like Scum Cities are the but I'm not really in those. I'm more like filming and editing those. But like I said, like we came up with our own skateboard company in high school and middle school called Cowboards. So we made like 3 videos. And my buddy
Can people find those videos anywhere?
No, they're not. They're all on DVD and we can't. They're so bad quality that like they're impossible to rip.
That would be a fun project though to get.
Accepted. Send them my way.
You have to have in order to get one to play. You need like the perfect
Alan Rosenquist
Blu-ray.
Oh right,
Blu-ray
because
player.
at those times like only certain like players would play certain discs.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, and like my buddy would buy the shittiest quality DVDs, and it would just skip sometimes. Oh shit! I almost ruined the set. Yeah, so I don't know. Those are the videos I was more a part of are the Cowboards, and I would have, I don't know. I think like what is it? I lost train of thought. I'm too drunk. I don't know. Those are the videos where I would like plan it. We would go out all the way out anywhere from Milwaukee to like Rockford. Like we would stay in the Midwest relatively, and then mainly Illinois, but we would still do road trips and things like that. And that also, and I always like goes back to skating, how like it kind of made me who I was in terms of like I was kind of like the producer too when this is like an interview thing, like, oh yeah, I got all these dudes in the van. I motivated them to like get to this, like, wake up early, and they would never wake up early and get in the spot. Like, we're going to Rockford, I'll buy you like 6 chicken nuggets if you did this trick, like it was
set the stakes high.
Yeah. I think it all stems from that. Like I said earlier, it all stems for me through skateboarding and just finding you do what you can to like kind of like create what you want, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So being in Chicago, what's your favorite skate spot? For any other skaters out there?
That's a legit question. There's a few skate spots.
I mean, they're all over. The ones I like are, I don't even know. I'm so old now. My groin cracks when I wake up. I just like, I'll just go.
Your groin cracks.
I'll
when
go
you
lunge
wake
and
up.
I'll hear like, I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna go just kind of maybe just ride, like not even ollie today. But yeah, I don't know. It varies. I used to like hate skating skate parks when I was younger, and people
Why's
would be
that?
like, I don't know, I couldn't skate them that well, and it was just I didn't like being in a confined spot. I thought, and it comes down as like I thought when you make a video, you want to do mainly street spots because not only does it look cooler as a backdrop, it's just more authentic, and you go to the skate park to learn a trick, but you don't want to film it there because you don't have to worry about all these variables in terms of getting kicked out, the ledge being crusty, or the stair set like a dog pissed at the bottom and there's a puddle, or like all these weird, and it comes down to like spontaneity too and having an adventure. Like you don't know what you're getting into skating street, but when it comes down to like a skate park, it's there, and it's in like a confined environment that's I don't know, it's like when you watch football, like I don't like watching people play in a dome because it's boring to me because it's like everything's controlled. I'd rather watch it outside, and you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. So
All right.
I don't know.
That kind of ties back into your like spontaneity versus planning thing. Do you see like any advantages in spontaneity over planning things when you go and film things? Like, have you seen it was like, I'm glad I didn't plan this out because this would not have happened if we did?
Yeah, we went. I was on the shoot. I don't even know. We did have a vague plan, but that's a good question. Actually, I can't really think of an exact moment because like I said, I don't. It depends on the shoot too. Like if you're doing a TV ad, you're gonna have to plan it out because the director.
That's how you said. Every situation is different.
She has her, like I don't want to say she, who I'm working with now. But the director. Let's just say the director or whoever's like in charge of the project is gonna have a script written, and she's gonna want to meet the criteria that's in the script. So you're gonna have to, no matter what, accomplish those things that she wants in some form, way or another. If you're lucky, the director doesn't have a super specific way of going about it in terms of like, I want this shot on a Dana dolly or a doorway, and get it this way or this way. So you have a checklist, but sometimes it's more fun. Like, oh, it'd be nice to shoot this over crank on like an easy rig, and then you can do like a close up and like run back out and like shoot. I don't know. There's like all these, in terms of shooting it, I still.
Do you
like
think it's just
more
because you can conceptualize it
control.
better when you're there in the moment versus like,
I
don't know what I have at hand. It's harder to conceptualize it.
Yeah, I mean, even like when you go on a scout, like, so if you go on a scout and you know what you want to shoot, you get a general idea of like how to do things, but things change once everything's lit, and like, oh, like I didn't know like all this light was gonna be spilling in at this moment in time because when we scouted, it was in the morning, and now it's broad daylight, and that window is getting blasted with light, and we have to figure out a way. I don't know. Which can be stressful if you're on like a time crunch, but I don't know. It's fun to come up with your own. I don't know.
Your own vision, the way you see
yeah.
it. Now that brings me to another question. What I find myself when I'm working for clients or working for someone else where their creative vision is different than mine. We have a view on things specifically because it caters to video, and like we know what works, we know what doesn't. Mm-hmm. There's always a pushback between client and artist or the person doing the job for them. It's just where do you find that balance of like, you know what, let them win this battle. This is what they want. Let me make it for them, even though it's against my better judgment.
When you're working at 12-hour days for like 3 weeks straight, and you're trying to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and then you realize they're still going to get what they want. So like, why waste your time over something, and when it's not even your project? So like, I have a joke.
It's keeping the big picture in mind.
I have a joke with our team where I work at right now. I'm just like, you know what? They're going to get what they want anyways. So don't think, just do it. So it sounds really shitty, but like, and when it comes down to certain clients,
work because clients want what they want, and like we have a vision, we have a perspective.
It's baby stepping. If you're
putting
really
down the money at the end of the day too.
But if you're really stuck, like, so say if you know, like, there's certain examples where I know what they're doing is cheesy, and it looks lame, and the first, like, you're gonna fight for it.
How do you deal with that though?
And
honestly,
it's
with specifically with like
it's soul
stuff
crushing.
that's over the top or cheesy, where it's just like
It's
wow.
soul crushing. But the thing is, if you really want to show them like why it's cheesy, then take the time to do another version and give them an A and a B. And if they're still like their way, then it validates.
Yeah.
At least you tried, and then it validates like like I said now, like they're gonna like you'll know like this person is stubborn. They're gonna want what they want no matter what.
Giving them
so
an A
don't
and a B
waste
option
like
will
6
validate
hours when you could just get
I
it
see.
done right away and get it done and move on. And then
So that's a good way to gauge people you work with. Give the like it. If you're trying to understand if they're a stubborn
red
person
pill, blue pill
or
type
if they're
of
willing, it's
thing,
like,
you
hey,
know, yeah.
I gave you options. I myself know this is the better option.
Yeah, it's a little test, and that's
Okay.
for me. It validates like who you're working with, and then you know what? Sometimes also like I've done it where they still want their way, but they're still the door didn't close completely shut. Where they didn't like what you wanted, but they're willing to see something in another form.
They're willing to keep the conversation.
And that's when you can keep trying. But sometimes you work with a client who's just stubborn, you know. It just depends on the situation.
So, I mean, I think we've all had jobs and like different projects that we've not been totally, feel it or been creative, like fulfilled by it. So outside of work, how do you, when you have stuff like that, how do you stay fulfilled creative wise outside of work?
Well, now I just, I don't have any projects pending or anything like that right now in the works, but I used to do like my own independent videos and music videos and just help out friends with their pet projects. But right now, my creative outlet is doing a lot of editing work. You fuck your back up a lot, so I just try to my outlet right now
yoga,
is
man.
just
I'm telling you, it helps.
it's just trying to be
it really does
just
help.
be active right now.
Because I have the same problem, man.
Yeah, I've been doing yoga and it definitely helps, but right now I have borderline sciatica.
Oh yeah.
No,
It's brutal.
I had a pulled sciatica for like 3 solid months, and the yoga got me out of it.
Yeah.
Like I was in like excruciating pain, where like I literally like
Hurts to get out of bed.
getting out of bed was terrible,
Mm-hmm.
but literally getting up and down from sitting was like I was in slow motion. And like my coworker Rick would be like, "What's going on, old man?" And he's like 50-plus-year-old.
Yeah.
had a heart attack at work.
Yeah. Oh wow.
and he's
just
calling
slaps
me
you
out.
slaps you on the ass, pussy. Just like walks away.
Well, I love Rick. Rick's OG, but he called it out. Just like, damn, dude, like I really hurt something. I messed something up. Like he's calling me out, and I was like, so then I was like, yoga's always helping, dude. Yoga, I'm telling you, that's amazing for your posture, specifically like when you work in fields like we do, where you're stuck on a computer.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like genuinely like the majority of the world going into the future is gonna be a screen interface world where we're working with that virtual space where it's like you're hunched over, or it's gonna be like WALL-E where we're in those seats with those screens.
I like your impressions. It's like
exactly.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. So I'm just trying to stay active out of work right now. At this moment in time, I don't have any projects, and when we just got done with a crazy campaign, working long hours. So my idea of
because you're doing a lot of
is
political videos right now, right?
Yeah.
Videos.
So election was just over, and now there's the Chicago mayoral election. So right now, I've just been trying to get home and stay active somewhat, unwind, or I don't know, because it's tough when you see the same thing every day, and that's all you're focused on. So even like watching finding a good show, you're like, oh, there's still hope in the world. It's not just political videos, because you're in your bubble the whole time.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to say this, like, because I genuinely feel like anyone in our industry, like when you're working or when you're doing a lot of client work, it's a lot of like it's soul crushing sometimes, because some clients are just like. They don't understand what they're asking for. We're giving them a subpar quality product, and it's just like, all right, I've just spent months working on something I'm not proud of, or like I don't want. How do you keep that like motivation, inspiration alive? Where it's just like, but this is still what I love. Like this is what I do. Like,
I guess.
Where do you find hope?
And like you said, watching.
Everybody
TV
always says like, well, at least I'm doing what I want to do. But like, in terms of like, really, like you're editing, but you're editing dog shit.
No, exactly. Like, but to that point,
I guess it's like
how do you keep it
my
creative?
sanity's sake is trying to like find ways, even when I'm not making something I'm in love with, try to convince clients to like use material that I am unfamiliar with, and like, oh, I never tried this before with this, plugin, or just find different ways, creative ways to keep something that's pretty boring interesting in my own mind. And then I guess like sharpening your tools and shit like that. But I don't know. I like to go, like, recently I just try to stay active and find a good show, or like, and then now I'm that asshole who's like critiquing like Walking Dead, like, why did they cut that? Like, why would they cut right there? Or something,
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Or like,
how have you taught yourself to self-edit like that? Because for me, I still have the hardest time being quiet during TV shows or movies.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, that was a dirty ass compositing shot. Did you see it? Like, I barely noticed that. I noticed the green screen, but barely. That was really good.
There's some spill going on right there. That's definitely not shot on location.
It's definitely interesting, like, knowing what's behind the curtain, watching movies.
Yeah,
you're
lifting that,
your loved ones and
pulling the curtain behind the Wizard of Oz is.
Your loved ones and your friends and like, they will hate you for it too.
Because ignorance is bliss in that aspect so much.
It's because everybody uses it as an outlet, right? And we use it's our work. So
exactly.
They're using
it as an escape fantasy from their lives, and this is the work we create.
Yeah, they're like, just shut the fuck up and can't you just enjoy this? Like, I can't. This is dog shit. I'll get home from work and like my girlfriend's like watching the show. Why are you watching this garbage? You know the rules. Like, turn it off while I'm here. Like, and she hits me for it. Now I'm gonna sound like that. Now I sound like an asshole. Like, I knew it was gonna come out eventually.
You have standards.
It's just like even like not even if it's bad compositing and stuff, like it's just bad, like it's just garbage reality TV. Like why do people watch Catfish? That show is so bad.
Reality television.
I'm calling you out, Catfish. Or whatever the
that should have stayed as like a one documentary thing and been it. Because I felt like brutal. As a one-off was genius. Because it put a spotlight on what like I feel our generation always knew was happening.
Yeah, but if you do the same, it's just the same thing over and over again. Like, how are these idiots keep
like,
falling for this dog? Oh, it's so...
It
breaks my soul. And then you see like them carrying the shitty... I mean, they probably have a low budget, but it's like, dude, why are you using that camera?
What's crazy a lot? That I'm glad you said that, because...
Filming it with their cell phone vertically.
Well, I mean, it's always hard to get good work. Like, I mean, that but
does it not blow your mind sometimes though when you watch TV or you watch a movie and you see something that's subpar, or you see something that like, well, I could have did better than that, and I'm nobody, or I'm like, I'm not an expert. I haven't been doing this for 30 years. So it's just like. But maybe I'm an up and comer, and it's like I know I could have did better than that. Like, doesn't that blow your mind though? That it's like it made it to broadcast or it made it to film?
We just talked about this though. What if it was the client's fault?
Yeah, well, that's true. But
then in that aspect, that's the studio. That's the studio's fault, which is why like I loved and romanticized the idea when I was in school about like working for Hollywood, doing compositing shots for like special effects movies. I was like, that'll be cool, that'd be dope. I'd love to work at Hollywood. But then I was just like, I'd be working on one shot for like a month.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be creative fulfilling. I was like,
it's like forgetting Sarah Marshall, the guy who's audio engineer, or like the composer. He's like, oh, another dead body. Like, you're just doing the same thing over and over again. You're on the conveyor belt, filling dog food in the cans and sealing them. Like it's the same shit, man. Like it's fun maybe the first month, and it's cool to say like I worked on that show, but then once you get into it, it's like. You don't really have that much creative control.
How do you balance that? Or do you feel that you need to balance it? Or is it just like, this is what I put up with and this is what I need to fulfill?
You're going to have like side projects until you get burnt out. Like it depends on where you're working for. Like if you work for a cool boss and they give you like comp time and they know like the hours suck, but they're willing to help you out, and you go home with some sort of energy. I would focus that energy on something that you want to focus it on. But if you work for a crappy boss and it's polar opposite and you go home burnt out, then it's time to realize like you gotta your mental health is way more important than that. And
Yeah, definitely.
So you've talked about shitty stuff. What do you want to do? What's your dream thing? Like, if you had like an infinite budget, or like you could grab whoever you wanted, what would you do?
If some Hollywood producer, someone with stupid amounts of money, saw this podcast and was like, "This guy knows this shit.
Exactly.
I'm gonna hire him." What would you want him to like endorse you for?
Endorse me for?
Or it was like, "This is what I want to do. Here's the money."
It'd be fun to make music videos. I think it's like for me, like I like to gradually work my way up. Like I would never want to just, bonsai cannonball into like a full length feature film. I mean, I think it'd be fun.
I want to get one under my belt just to do it, to say that I did it.
Yeah, but I would want to be more
shitty or professional. I just want to do one.
I think eventually, but I would like right now, if you're saying it would be cool to do like a music video or something for like a band I respect and like, and not one that is just has a high budget and willing to pay me.
When I graduated,
Imagine Dragons Adobe Premiere contest that I couldn't finish because I hate that fucking band.
All right. So anyone listening to this podcast,
Nickelback.
Look for his Spotify playlist, and if there's any bands that want him to shoot some videos, contact him.
Yeah, no, definitely. When I was in like my last years of school, that's actually what I gravitated towards. Where it's just because our professor would ask us, they're like, "Listen, like, because I'm a VFX motion graphics major, they're like, you can do a multitude of jobs with this degree. It's just like, what do you want to do with it? Like, find out what you love, find out what you like." And for me, it's just like, I love music, but I'm tone deaf. Like, I can't.
But you know what you like.
I have dexterity in my fingers. I can play piano if someone shows me how to do it.
Just cuts you on the recorder.
Everyone I feel has played the recorder.
At some point in their life, they have. Yes.
Although we did learn the Star Wars theme on the recorder at our school, which I thought was actually
cool.
pretty cool.
We just learned how to cross buns because they didn't have faith in us.
Yeah.
Apparently your school's a lot.
I thought chopsticks was the bare minimum.
Yeah, we all went all on stage. It was a whole class performance. There was a lot of pressure, but we killed it. We killed it.
Jesus.
Parents enjoyed it because it was something other than hot cross buns.
Yeah. Parents were just looking at their watches.
Like, I know, right? Get the hell out of here.
He's not even wearing his belt on right. Look at that kid. It's just like I just imagine going to those shows and like the parents just talk. Yeah, man, my negativity still comes out.
I know. I always think about that.
It's like you say
parents deal with.
You say negativity, but in all honesty,
just like an hour. Like, just who wants to go see a bunch of 8-year-olds play musical instruments that they barely can put their pants on in the morning, and they're still getting dressed.
No, at that point,
as a kid, you appreciate that. Those shows, you want your parents there as a kid.
Those shows are for the parents and for the kids.
Yeah,
that's all that is.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
I think that's so much for the parents, but the parents need to be there for the support.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, sometimes
it's like any art form. You got to nurture it. You got to support it, because otherwise, like that's a huge like.
It's all about your kid. It's not about the adults at all. Really.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that, because when it comes to art, in my opinion, it's insecurity is one of the hardest things to get over when it comes to creating art, because like everyone is like, as artists, we are our own worst critics. And we will shit on our own work all the time, all day, because we don't think we're good enough. We're insecure about it. We need someone else's outside perspective, someone else's support to say like, no, dude, you're good. Keep doing that.
Vivian Maier, she never had the chance, and she was like an awesome photographer, and she wasn't, found out until somebody, what are those storage garages, somebody bought a case and had all her photos in, and they, developed them, and they're like, holy shit, these photos are amazing. And she never showed anybody. She didn't even develop them, half of them. Like, it's crazy. So, I mean, I don't know. It's sad, but at least she was doing, like, as long as you're practicing what you love, I don't think it really matters if it's exposed or not. As long as like mentally,
you gotta love what you're doing.
Mentally, like, it makes you happy and all that stuff. Like, that's
100% agree with that, because that's one of my main driving reasons for doing this podcast. Like, I wanted to find people like that, where it's just like, dude, I could be famous or I could be nobody, but at the end of the day, I'm doing this because like it fulfills me. It's what I love doing. This is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to do this,
Yeah, man. My boss called me out a few months ago saying a 7-year-old could edit this video better than I could. I was just like, damn. But at least I'm doing what I love.
Yeah. And is that 7-year-old getting paid? No.
Granted, I half-assed the entire thing, but at least I like to tell myself that.
You're right.
So then tell us your biggest fail then.
Oh, I just did. No,
Is that your biggest fail?
No. Tell us the fail that you learned from the most.
Fail that I learned from the most.
Or it doesn't have to be the biggest fail, but it's just like something you
tell
learned
us a
from.
fail, yeah. Because we always learn something.
What's something you learned that
I'll say
not
this.
everyone knows?
I'll say this: what I just said when he called me out like that, and I knew what he was doing. He's trying to light a fire under my ass or something. But like at the same time, I was overworked. I don't want to like come up with excuses or whatever. So, but it just do things the right way, and don't never take shortcuts. Whether you're stressed or whatever. And if you are stressed, I kind of went about it the wrong way. I should just told him like, hey man, I am like burnt out. I need I know you want this spot, on this due date, but like I am,
communication,
just communication, being honest, like, and doing things the right way, like, and like never finding an excuse to like, like you can say you're burnt out because, and point fingers like that's why I was half-assed, but nobody knows that except you. You're like, well, you still put out a half-assed spot, so like what, like that, to me, like. You suck because that spot sucks.
At the end of the day, you're supposed to be performing.
All you gotta do is spend one more hour, or whatever the case may be, and just do it right, or communicate and just say like, "Hey, man, you want to get this done, but I have no energy to do it.
Yeah.
I'll get you something super solid, tomorrow." Like, I mean, that's probably the main thing, and not just being tight-lipped about shit like that. I don't know. I think that's important.
It's about speaking up and staying or saying what you feel in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and more people will be more reasonable. I think you have some, like most individuals have a perspective that's way harsher in their head than it actually is. And if it is that harsh, then do you really want to work with people like that? It just kind of like this place does suck. Then
that's actually a good point. It's just like when is the time that you need to realize like I should move on from here, or you know what, I've gotten all I can out of here.
Exactly. when you realize you're working on a conveyor belt and like there's nothing to gain personally from or experience wise or on a talent level wise, like if you want to reach a certain point, you reach the ceiling and you reach the ceiling and you're just there for a paycheck, then that's on you. Like it.
Yeah.
And it's always good to look for a job when you have a job.
Yeah.
Versus
if you're
that's the number one thing I've always been told.
If you're the guy, if you're the dude just logging footage all day, real time beta tapes, and you're cool with it. I mean, I guess that's cool if you're cool with it. But for me, like I'm
a big fan of do what makes you happy as long as it doesn't affect anyone else's happiness.
But if there's a reason, like if you want to be into editing or something like that, like why are you in this business if you're pigeonholed to be the log and capture guy?
Yeah.
Like don't you inspire to be somebody else? Like when you reach that ceiling, move on. And if that place isn't taking you seriously and you're still in a fixed position, find somebody that will take you seriously. Whether that's you doing freelance or you finding somebody that will, like another company, like just whatever. I don't know. And then if you have to bag groceries to pay the bills, then so be it.
Yeah,
At least you have your integrity.
I'm glad you brought up freelance though, because I wanted to talk to you because I know you've done freelance work and you've also done full-time work. I was like, what are the differences and the benefits because I know a lot of people like coming out of school with like our backgrounds in video or post-production. It's just like what's a lot of it starting out is all freelance work unless you can find an internship and get an in on a full-time job.
Yeah, it totally depends. I don't know. Freelance work can suck or it can be awesome. It can also, you have to hustle. You have to be self-motivated, live paycheck to paycheck, or you can make a lot of money. And it depends on the time, depends on the season, depends on the location. Like there's so many variables, but it can be a lot more gratifying because you're doing more. You're not stuck doing specific work consistently. Mm-hmm. Like you can find more variants of work or whatever. Whereas if you're working full time, depending on the spot or job or whatever it is, it's great. It looks good on the resume. It shows loyalty, depending on how long you're there. But it can get monotonous, it can get boring. It can go back to that conveyor belt lifestyle where you're just putting pepperonis on pizzas over and over again. Like, yeah, man. I don't. Those are my big things. But if you want to reach a certain status, I guess you can. Both ways work. I guess like if you want to be a DP, you can get there. Or if you want to be a senior editor, you can get there either way. It's just different hoops and different obstacles you have to go through.
What do you feel worked best for you, though? What do you feel helped you get to where you are now?
I'm
was
more
it the freelance work or was it the full-time work?
Conventionally, I would say it's if you are patient, working full-time, if you're cool with just being an assistant or for however and waiting for your opportunity for years on, like that's probably the easiest way. Not the easiest, but it's probably the most conventional way to do it is through full time. And then it looks good on the resume, like I said, which sucks. But it's also like you need a lot of patience, you need a lot of dedication.
Because a lot of it'll be drone work and like stuff you don't care about.
You gotta show like you want to be there when you don't. You know, like fuck, man, I'm logging more tapes today, really. Like, So I don't know, but I think freelance you can get there. You gotta know, you gotta network, you gotta hustle.
You gotta hustle. I feel like you gotta have that personality.
You gotta be a salesman. Which I'm not.
Yeah, you gotta
so it depends on your personality. It depends on your experience. It depends on people you know. Yeah, I mean, you can do both no matter which way you want. The most exciting way probably is through freelance, but it takes a certain type of person, I want to say, to do both, I guess. It takes a certain type of person to stick with something and be loyal and to do the same shit over and over again. It takes a certain type of person to sell themselves and kind of, you know, whether you are that person or not, you got to put on a facade, or if it comes naturally, you still have to hustle and be a salesman and also show, like, back that up with natural talent and skill. You know, like, you can do either or, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So someone trying to get into what you do, how would you recommend someone trying to do what you do?
I was shooting, what was I shooting? Damn Man, like a skateboard contest, that's another, like, it's this similar industry, like shooting, I'm doing video work, but the skate industry is way more, what's the word, clicky.
Okay.
It is, like, you got.
I love how split you are, though, like with your day job and like doing political campaigns and like TV commercials, and then it's like, I'm in like the click world with the skateboard community, and like I make my skate videos. Like,
but that's
I genuinely love that about you, man.
It comes down to like I don't know. I've been doing it forever, and that's no reason to like continue doing it. I genuinely love doing it.
Exactly.
I'll be 60 years old with 2 torn groins out and filming 7-year-olds.
I was watching that podcast.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, but some kid, what was I doing? I got tagged through like TransWorld or like some magazines. You know, I got credit, which is cool. And then some kids were DMing me like, how did I get there? And like, what does it take? And I'm like, just keep doing it. I mean, it sounds cliche, but just keep doing it. And whether you have to do it through, because I didn't get that job through skating. I got it through a creative director at a network I was working for, and she just knew I liked skating, and she knew people, and it just was serendipitous. So as long as you're doing what you love to do, whether it's, you know, and I know I sound like a hypocrite because I said like if you hate your job, just find some way out. But like I stuck with that job, but I stuck with that job because there's also great people that I loved working with at that job, whether I liked it or not. Those people were awesome. They kept me going, and it worked out that they got me another opportunity arose where I got into that, and this kid reached out and was like, hey man, just keep doing it, whether you have to do it through some platform that's not skateboarding or not. As long as you keep doing everything that you love to do, it'll work out. You might not be doing exactly what you want to do, but you'll be doing, you'll be in that world, or you'll get opportunities too down the road to do things that you want to do. So I think that's important.
Yeah, definitely. So we're getting close to that time, so I want to close this out with your one story that I asked you to prepare. Your little
I don't
little
have a
fun,
really good
crazy
story, man.
Like,
I thought I
just
told a couple.
anything.
It's all right.
No, you've told plenty of great stories,
Yeah.
and thank you for sharing them. But I want to get like I asked you, I was like, "What's your one story that you
All
want
right,
to
I'm
tell?"
gonna embarrass
They're
myself.
like, "You want no? You're putting this
No,
out
it's
there.
good,
This is
it's
your
good.
story to tell." I
I've
want to
been
hear it.
so I'm
We're all
gonna bring it
storytellers
back
at
to
the end
like,
of
and I'll bring it back to the past and then go to present time.
All right.
Right,
So-
some time travel, like
Yeah,
And
it's
it all
just some
it all
time
it all
jumps.
comes full circle. So it's all strung together by one thing, which is borderline IBS. Borderline IBS. So like when I was a kid, I would
Now, what's IBS?
irritable bowel syndrome.
I know, I heard of it. I just wanted to make sure, like, this is what we're talking about.
for the
Never had
listeners.
to like kick a door down and just throw your pants to your ankles and hover over the toilet and just reverse Dante's Peak like. Hot liquid into the
Reverse Dante's Peak.
The image is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's brutal, man. But yeah, I've been there plenty of times. So when I was growing up, I would get mad mud butt, and it would be on a regular basis. And like we would go skating, and there's plenty of times where whether it's eating an Italian beef or Yoplait yogurt, like it didn't matter what it was, or like something healthy, whatever. And it would just come, like you knew it was coming, and I can fight off the first two rounds, but when number 3 comes,
Round
Number
3.
three, the
Are you-
terrible
the bottle
threes,
cap
they
is
call
shaking
it,
and it's
yeah.
about to burst. You know, like it's. So there's a few times, like my brother still laughs to this day. He's like, I remember like no matter where we were skating, like you shat in every luxury bathroom downtown Chicago. Like
Luxury
like,
bathroom.
you wouldn't have to worry about
Yes.
you-
Not no
The
7-Eleven,
golden
just
toilets
luxury.
will grace
We would
my
be
butt.
skating-
We're going to the Hilton, sir.
Exactly, we'd be skating. and,
Drake.
Like, we'd be
Only-
skating downtown Chicago somewhere, and I would just find. I'm like, that building looks nice. I'm gonna find the best bathroom to ruin in that building. Like it's just.
So
like
you
I would
go
just
to the
know.
bathroom based on architecture.
Yeah, well, Adam. Well, you just know. You can see it. Like, damn, that's like great. Like that's granite. They got like, like that's a good looking building. I'm sure they have a good looking toilet in there to ruin. So
That's great.
My brother laughs. He told this story. Like he told us. What did he say? He said something like, "Dude, I remember when we're skating, and you're like somebody had to go to the bathroom, and you're like, you're gonna want to go. There's a hotel here." Don't look at it. Go to the one, like it's like
Don't look at it.
three buildings over. It's worth it. So when you get in that building, there's gonna say restrooms to the left. You're not gonna want to go to those restrooms though. You're gonna want to take the stairs up, make a right to the left, and it's just like I don't even have recollection doing this, but I knew where like all the best bathrooms were. And he's like, you're gonna
my
go in the
God.
bathroom, and once you find this like the upstairs second level bathroom, there's gonna be stalls, there's gonna be urinals. Don't use any of them. Keep walking to the end, and there's a wicker. There's like a wicker door. You open that door and you get your own private stall. Like you get newspapers. It's like,
All right, so for our audience, what
So-
is the
Yeah.
best bathroom in Chicago
man,
on
I don't
record?
even know anymore. It's been a while. That was high school.
He's like, I don't get
Like I
mud
told-
butt that
I-
often anymore.
Oh, I still do. It's gonna full circle, like I said. So like that was a
Except, but I got my own place now, so it's okay.
man. There was a time too where we're skating a spot in the suburbs, and we had like went and got some grease trap. And we were skating, and it was coming, and I was telling my buddy like, I gotta go, let's go. And they was like, no, we gotta get this trick. Like no, I gotta go. And they would were fucking with me. Like they would not drive me anywhere. Like there's weeds, there's trees, go. I'm like no. Like no, not enough toilet paper in the world will like clean this up. Like, and I'm not gonna rub my ass on grass. Like, and they were like, so eventually they were like, all right, let's get. And he had a Ford Bronco at the time, so like both of them get in the car, and they're just looking at me laughing. And we're in the industrials. There's train tracks. They're
Dude, I'll shit in
flying
your
over
car.
these train tracks. There's no suspension. It's just all the shocks are shot. We're just like hitting every pothole, and they were just trying to make me shit my pants on the spot.
Like,
And that
that's
was
bad
another
on
one.
them. They'll have like a car full of shit.
So those are two stories, and which comes full circle. And man, so that's a fear of mine. Like that's probably serendipitous too that I'm an editor, because I'm in a controlled space, and when the time comes, I can just quietly walk to the bathroom. But being a DP, man, I got to DP a few shoots recently, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great, like what I wanted to do. But then I'm like, fuck, man, I always take a morning dump, and this gets a little crazy with the coffee, and I need coffee to wake up. So like, the first couple shoots went smoothly, but the third one, we had to go, and I'm like, all right, things are looking good, and we didn't eat until like we were scouting, and then we had like Potbellies or something, and so we ate, and I'm building the camera, assembling the camera, ready to get this thing going. And we're still like a half an hour out until like call time and the shoot. And my stomach starts gurgling. I'm like, motherfucker, like this is it. Like I am not gonna.
It's go time.
I am not gonna let this be the end of my DP career. Like I am not gonna be shooting and just like have the director cut so the crew can wait on me. Like just spitting hot lava. You know, like it's gonna I'm gonna fight this off. Couldn't fight it off. So like before we were even about to roll, I'm like, I just go over to like where the client's bathroom is, and I just take care of business. You know, like it's all good, but it's not pretty, and
it's not pretty.
So it's pretty bad. So by the time all is said and done, I try to flush. And it is clogged.
Oh, no.
It will not go down. And I try one more time, and the water level is rising. So I'm like, if I do it one more, this thing is gonna overflow. And I could not, for the life of me, find. I've turned that bathroom inside out. There was no plunger,
sweating
not
now.
a single plunger.
Oh my god!
So I am so embarrassed.
An ill-equipped bathroom.
I'm just praying that nobody's waiting, like in line, because I've been there for a minute, and then like. And there's a Target down the street, and I don't want to so I'm like, do I just like walk out and just go and then just go start shooting like next door and not bring this up to anybody, or do I swallow my pride and just own it and be like, hey man, I made a mistake, like there's bathrooms clogged,
I made a mistake,
and then make somebody go all the way to Target to buy a plunger. By then I'll be shooting and have him or her clean up the disgusting.
That's when you know you made it, though.
Unforgivable mess I made in there.
That's when you know you made it.
I was the coward, and I just, thank God no one was walking. I just like walked next door and then just shot and didn't bring it up to anybody except a few people on the crew, and they were just laughing about it. So yeah, that's
oh my god,
pretty embarrassing, but it's part of life, and
everybody
cheers.
poops.
Yeah. Cheers to that.
Oh my god, thank you for sharing that. That was amazing.
Yeah, man, I have no shame.
That was great. Oh, hell yeah. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure,
That's
dude.
a wrap, I think. Yeah.
Cool.
Episode number 2.
Episode number 2, baby.
We out.
All right, I'm going to be the shit guy from here on out.
So what do you think? That was pretty easy, right?
Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But seriously, just make sure you do that. Because if you don't, it's kind of for nothing. Seriously.